We are live. How's everybody doing this fine day? I hope everybody's having a fabulous day. I know I am. And it is almost the weekend. I am very, very, very excited. Today I want to talk about a few topics. I might come back live again at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I might have a meeting, but I might not. So I'm not sure. I got a lot of stuff working behind the scenes right now. But today we are going to talk about why obesity feels normal, America's health crisis. Obviously, there needs to be a counterbalance for all the crazy shit that's going on, all the crazy shit that's being said. I mean, give me 1 second. Okay. I wrote an article about this. It's on X right now, but we're going to go to this young lady's video. I just wanted to get started early so we can have a full conversation about this, if you guys are willing. But this young lady, and I can't play the sound because it's gonna end up messing with the I'll get copyright thing on here. But this is just her, and this way you can see a whole aspect of her. That's not healthy. Waist to height ratio, well over 0.5, likely 0.6, large visceral deposit, adipose tissue. This is not healthy. Large front butt, basically. It's just not healthy. And her stance is this: your weekly reminder that healthy bodies also look like this. It's just not true. Healthy bodies don't look like that. That's not a healthy body by any stretch of the imagination. If for no other reason than just her heart has to pump blood to all the extra body, it's not a healthy body. But yet alone, the gravity exists, and we can't go back to this stupid shit. Like the world's finally starting to wake up to the fact that it's not, healthy to be fat. And that, there's not a problem with the endeavor of trying to make yourself healthier, but this woman is basically saying that she's healthy and therefore she wouldn't need any change. That's the problem. Whenever we normalize it to the point where, like, oh no, you're gorgeous, because a lot of people do not give a fuck about their health. In our society, a lot of people do not give a fuck about their health at all. They care how they look. That's all it is. So many people are attached to how you look currently. It's wild, not realizing that eventually, eventually you're going to get old. It's not going to be the same. You're eventually going to change, right? And this just I'm going to stick a flag in the ground here and say that I'm healthy when you're not. That's just mental illness. This is a mentally ill statement right here. For her to think that she is healthy, that her body is healthy, that's mental illness. It's denial. It's on a radical level. No woman, unless they're extremely tall with musculature to them, should have a 2 at the front number of their weight. It's not healthy. You guys do not have the testosterone levels to have enough muscle mass, lean mass, to actually have a 2 in front of you. Most men, I'm going to let you know, most men should not have a 2 in front of their number, unless the man is over 6 feet tall or something like that. It's likely not good. That's when it gets into waist to height ratio. But again, even if you go by waist to height ratio for this woman, she's not in a good space. She's not in a good way. I actually used this to catalyze myself to write this article. So for those of you that want to see, hang on, let me do that a little differently. Let's do this. Is that better? No? How about that? That's better, right? And then I'll take care of it from here. I just want to read through the article real quick with you guys, because there's a lot of data, a lot of important information in here that I think is pertinent, right? So this is the normalization of obesity, how America's average waistline has skewed perceptions. Because this young lady, I believe she really thinks that she's fine. But in the United States, the average person is now obese, not just by, and I know that everybody says obesity is 42.5%. It's almost halfway. That's a fallacy. First of all, that number is like over half a decade old. It's before that is from before the pandemic. It is not a true statistic anymore. Secondly, we had the pandemic. People got very fat during the pandemic. Very, very, very fat. But not just by body mass index, but also the more precise waist to height ratio, a metric increasingly favored by researchers for its accuracy in assessing visceral fat and related health risks. According to data from the National Health and National Examination Survey, the NHANES, this means waist height ratio for American adults has climbed to approximately 0.58 to 0.60 as of recent analysis, well above the 0.5 threshold, widely recognized as the cutoff for healthy fat distribution, as noted in Ashwell-Gibson, which is a very good study. I've read it multiple times, by the way. This shift reflects a broader trend. Obesity, once an outlier, is now the norm. It's absolutely the norm. Absolutely the norm. Let's see here. And if you're asking questions, I will get to them. I promise you. The shift reflects a broader trend. Obesity, once an outlier, is now the norm. Yet this physical reality has taken hold, a parallel psychology shift has occurred. Society's perception of what constitutes an unhealthy level of body fat has become dangerously skewed, with obese individuals increasingly viewed as fine simply because they align with the average. And that is a big ass problem, because the average person is morbidly obese. The average woman in America has been morbidly obese since 2018. As an average, the average woman in America as of 2018 was 5'3.5" inches tall and weighed about 171 pounds and had a waist to height ratio of 0.601, which is morbidly obese by waist to height ratio. So the average person, the average individual woman in 2018 was morbidly obese. Just the average, right? Let's see. And we might as well answer it. Thrifty Meg says, do you think it's okay to shame individuals to prove a point on a societal level? It is not shame. Like, first of all, you're not shaming them. Shaming somebody shouldn't even be considered a verb. The person, if I say, well, you're fat and you should lose weight, the only way if the person feels any way negative about that, it should be either because they aren't fat at all and I'm just being an asshole to them, which is the only time that that should be considered that way. But telling a fat person to lose weight is a positive thing for them. So do I feel that it's okay to shame individuals to prove a point on societal level? It's not shaming, but every single person you meet that is fat should be reminded every single day to lose motherfucking weight, because they are a disproportionate burden to all of society and it's bad for them. So I hope that answers your question. I think that I'm not sure if you were trying to imply that you're like, well, do you think it's okay to just say mean things? Yeah, I do. 100%. I think it's okay, because there's nothing meaner to tell a fat person than you're fine the way you are. That's the meanest thing anybody can ever say to a morbidly obese woman or a morbidly obese man. You're fine just the way you are. You're pretty just the way you are. You're good just the way you are. That's the most negative, nasty ass lie you can tell a morbidly obese person. So I hope that clears that up for you. Let's see here. The normalization rooted in a statistical prevalence rather than medical evidence poses a profound public health challenge, undermining efforts to address a well-documented risks of excess fat, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, premature mortality, cancer, osteoarthritis, stroke, the necrotizing fasciitis, diabetic foot amputation, so many things. The rise of obesity as the American average. To understand how perception has shifted, we must first quantify the scale of obesity in America. The waist to height ratio, calculated by dividing the waist circumference by height, both typically in centimeters, offers a superior, and by the way, it doesn't need to be in centimeters, it just needs to be in the same units of measure, by the way. Offers a superior alternative to BMI. It directly measures central adiposity, fat around the abdomen, linked to metabolic dysfunction, rather than total body weight, which can be confounded by muscle mass. Browning et al. 2010. A waist-to-height ratio of 0.5 or below is considered healthy. 0.5 to 0.6 indicates increased risk. 0.6 and above is severe risk or morbid obesity. And that's from Ashwell-Hydes, 2005, also a great study. The data from 2015-2016, analyzed in Schneider et al., showed that over 60% of U.S. adults exceeded the 0.5 threshold, with the mean waist-to-height ratio for men at 0.58 and the mean and for women 0.60. And by the way, those numbers were collected in 2017. We're morbidly obese as a country. More recent estimates suggest that the trend has worsened, with the average American adult now firmly in increased risk. The statistical reality is corroborated by obesity prevalence rates. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, which doesn't control or prevent any diseases, report that 42.4% of U.S. adults were obese by BMI, a figure likely underestimating true visceral fat prevalence when assessed by waist-to-height ratio. By 2025, projections based on historical trends suggest over 50% of adults would meet obesity by BMI, which is what I've said also before. And if you had thrown 2020 in there, we're probably 55 to 60% obesity. With waist-to-height ratio painting an even starker picture due to the sensitivity to waistline expansion. Simply put, the average American is no longer lean. Perceptions. When a majority of the population exhibits a trait, the trait becomes the de facto standard, regardless of its implications. Social psychology offers insight into the phenomenon through a concept of social norms, behaviors, and characteristics perceived as typical and thus acceptable. In the context of body fat, as the average American waist-to-height ratio has crept upward, so too has the threshold by what is deemed unhealthy. A study by Burke found that individuals in communities with higher obesity prevalences were less likely to perceive overweight and obese bodies sizes as problematic, a phenomenon dubbed visual normalization. Participants consistently rated silhouettes with waist-height ratios above 0.6 as average rather than unhealthy, aligned with their judgment with local norms rather than medical benchmarks. The perception shift is not merely anecdotal. Robinson et al. Conducted experiments showing the exposure to images of obese individuals increased participants' acceptance of larger body sizes as normal. Over time, this desensitization alters the mental image of health, with obese bodies, once outliers, becoming the reference point. In 2021 survey by Olds et al., 68% of Americans underestimate their own weight status related to their waist-to-height threshold. View peers with waist-to-height values of 0.55 to 0.65 as healthy because they look like everyone else. This miscalibration is a direct consequence of obesity's ubiquity. When most people carry excess fat, the exceptional becomes the expected. So basically what this is saying, and what I've been trying to point to everybody is, everybody's like, well, she's not even that big, or this person's not even that big, or that she's average. Yeah, and the average is bad. The average American is fat, is morbidly obese. That's what I've been trying to say. We as a country are a country of sickly people. And just because it is the average does not mean it's fucking good. This is like failing, this is like having a math class and the average grade is a 55. It's like you're doing as good as everybody else, but you're still fucking failing. Does everybody grasp that? Just because you're doing as good as everybody else doesn't mean you're not a fucking failure, right? The medical community is inequitable, equivocal the risks of, I don't know why my ADHD doesn't want to say that, about the risks of elevated waist-to-height ratio. Visceral fat concentrated around the abdomen secretes pro-inflammatory cytokines and disrupts insulin sensitivity, driving a cascade of metabolic disorders. Meta-analysis by Ashwell and Gibson found that waist-to-height ratio above 0.5 doubles the risk of cardiovascular disease, while values of over 0.6 triple it compared to those below 0.5. Similarly, a waist-to-height ratio of 0.6 or higher is associated with a 2.5-fold increase for type 2 diabetes risk, independent of BMI. Longitudinal studies, so in other words, if the person by BMI is healthy, but they have a 0.6 waist-to-height ratio, which means they're built like Homer Simpson, is they still will end up diabetic. This is when you get like, well, thin people are healthy too. You mean like people that were registered by the BMI as healthy but have huge visceral visceral fat deposits in their stomach, yeah, they're unhealthy because they're fat. They're morbidly obese just because they don't, like, I agree with the fat acceptance community when I say this. It's not about your weight, it's about your health. And just because you're of a normal weight, if your belly is huge, you are morbidly obese. Get there. The risks are not abstract. The CDC estimates that obesity-related conditions, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, account for over 300,000 deaths annually in the U.S. While excess visceral fat is the primary driver for it. Economic costs are equally staggering, hundreds of billions of dollars, obviously. The dangers of normalizing obesity. When obesity is perceived to be as fine because it's average, the disconnect between perception and reality grows perilous. Public health campaigns emphasize individual responsibility, exercise, diet, lose traction when the baseline for comparison is itself unhealthy. So in other words, why are people going to be pushing themselves to get healthier when they perceive themselves as just fine, even though they're morbidly obese? That's the end all of this. So I want you guys all to go read this article. I'm not going to go through all of it. Tons of references. The conclusion is the American's average waist to height ratio is 0.58 to 0.60 male to female. Marks a nation where obesity is not an exception but the rule. The shift has warped perceptions, casting obese bodies as fine because they are typical. Despite overwhelming evidence of visceral fat's toll, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and shortened lives, social norms reinforced by culture and complacency have unmoored health from biology, threatening both individual well-being and public resources. Realigning societal views with scientific reality is not about blame, but survival. Obesity may be average, but it's not benign, and pretending otherwise courts disaster. So that is the article. I hope you all go read it and enjoy. Follow me there. Let's see. Let me scroll back up to see if anybody has responded back to a few things. Thin power, like thin power. Thin power. Let's see. Make America thin again. Exactly. All right. Thrifty Meg, did I explain this well to you? Did you have any further questions? Whoops, cat treats are up here. Sorry about that. Do you have any further questions? Would you like me to elaborate? Because if you think you're going to make me balk by being like, oh, you think shaming people is okay, it's better than them dying. How about that? It's better, and you might hurt their mental health. No morbidly obese person should be considered mentally healthy. None. Not one. Not one morbidly obese person should be considered mentally healthy, because they're not. To do that to yourself is not a healthy thing. To consistently do it to yourself on a daily basis, that's mental illness. If you are not trying, if you're morbidly obese and you are absolutely not trying to change your life state by becoming not morbidly obese, to basically unfatten yourself, if you are not trying to unfatten yourself and you are morbidly obese, you are not mentally well, and you should not be viewed as mentally well. It should be viewed as mental illness. It should be viewed as self-harm, because it is in fact self-harm 100% of the time. So I hope that answers your question there, Thrifty Meg. If not, let me know and I will elaborate. I think it gets hidden because BMI would just consider it overweight and not overweight and not borderline obese. Maybe yes and no. The biggest thing about it is, like, again, it shouldn't necessarily be about weight, because metabolic disorders can creep up even when the person is of a normal weight, but their waist to height ratio, they have a large visceral fat deposit, as we were reading. So. Patty Phelps from 285 to 150. Boom. Everybody congratulate Patty. That's fucking great. I can say that I was morbidly obese. I felt that as long as I was not suffering with any health issues, I was healthy. I was also was young. Age proved I was wrong, and fat kills. Well, I'm glad you got your shit together. Great fucking job. Everybody congratulate Patty. That's great. I've noticed that blood work is on an average as well. Men's testosterone is a prime example. Men's testosterone levels are averaging incredibly low, incredibly low. In fact, I should write an article about that. I did write an article about like how any male with a testosterone level under 500 should be considered under low T. The threshold right now is under 300. A man that has T levels that are 400 is already experiencing horrible, horrible, horrible side effects. Horrible, horrible. But anyway, I always see that on social media that, oh, you look great and you aren't fat. Why do people do that? Because they think that the telling of a lie directly to a person's face makes them a better person. It's so fucked up. Like, I am somehow the bad guy for telling people the truth. These people will lie to a person's fucking face. They'll lie to somebody's face. The person that they know that the person that they are lying to knows that they're being lied to. They lie back saying thank you as if it's not a lie, and everybody seems to be happy in their lying, because that's what political correctness is. That's what do you think shaming people will help on a societal level? Take your fucking political correct bullshit. You're in your fucking fifis bullshit and shut the fuck up. Get fucking healthy. Do your fucking job as a fucking member of society. Fucking weak ass pieces of shit. Sorry about that. I need to take my Natafix. Shaming worked in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. It certainly did. In the 90s, too, by the way. I would argue people had more physical jobs in 50s through 80s. Pharma wasn't pushed like candy, and cooking at home was more common. Exactly. Completely true. I shame my family members because I love them. That's it exactly. That's it exactly right there. Hi, I'm Meg, the artist. How are you doing? Hi, it's been a little while. I gained over the winter, but I'm back to my routine, and it's just falling off. I'm doing well. Meg, that's outstanding to hear. Great job. I ask this all the time. If what I say is true, how is it shaming? It may not be the most polite thing, but it's not shaming. Like saying you're fat, you should lose weight. That's not shaming. The person is indeed fat, and they should fucking lose weight. They're both true statements. Yep. Remember comically flat Monica from the Friends show? She would look average. She's definitely she's half the size of Tess Holiday in that outfit. I went grocery shopping at Walmart. Oh shit! This morning there is candy everywhere, chips, snacks everywhere. No wonder obesity rates are high. Well, people make choices too. People make choices. This one. It's everywhere at work too. Vending machines with chips, candy, soda. The cafeteria has all that plus burgers and pizza. Sometimes they get subs or pizza for team meetings. It's nonstop. That's horrible. My husband and I are getting healthy because we changed up our meals, more whole food and less carbs. That's great. That's the way to do it. Fabulistic. Alan. What would you do if your boss keeps pressuring you to eat the food offered at work? Well, that would be Crystal, because Crystal's my boss. So she tells me what I eat, and I just do it. But if I was still working in healthcare, I would have my own food. And if my boss is like, eat this, I'd be like, I don't eat like that. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but like that's, especially if it's unhealthy. You know, I wouldn't put up with that shit. I like the evil eye on the shirt. Awesome symbol. This is from the Sacred Society from Mike Rashid. Yeah, it's fine. Just have her image that then sharing all the knowledge. The contrast was a lot for one person. I don't even understand what you're talking about. I don't even start. I mean, I know it's. Here's the thing. I know it's fine because whatever I say is fine by me. So, like. It's wild how like people think that they can like police other people's words. Like, I know it's fine. I wasn't suggesting it wasn't fine. How can we get people back to reality that they are used to seeing fat people and that doesn't make it them not unhealthy or obese? How can we get used to it? We need to just be very directive as it's time to get fucking healthy, and it's personal responsibility. And it's already happening. If we just let nature take its course, it's happening. It's when social media entities and the government and mainstream media and Hollywood, when they enter and they try to control people's speech, they try to control a narrative, that's a problem. But human nature, we recognize that being fat is bad. I mean, we just recognize it. Like, it's biological. We recognize it. Go look at some of these fat acceptance people's comment sections from a year ago on Instagram, and then scroll to what they just posted. all the comments a year ago are like, oh, you slay queen. Oh, it's so good. You take the buffer off that makes it so that anybody that was commenting anything funny or anything truthful in the person's comment section was not allowed. Now that buffer's off, the comments of most of these fat acceptance people on Instagram is fucking brutal and savage, as it goddamn should be, because they're in denial of their fucking life station. It's hard work to stay healthy. Oh, I gotta watch the time. It's hard work to stay healthy in a world full of junk. It is, but you can do it. So, Alan, can you review the TV show Bulging Brides from the early 2000s? Very straightforward about women's fitness. I have never heard of it, but I'll take a look at it. Let me make a note. Bulging Brides. Thank you. Have I heard that the Y chromosome may disappear? I have not heard that. I have not heard that. That's a new one on me. Well, I'll look into it, but I don't know. I have no idea what that means. Truth hurts. Lies feel better. Constructive criticism. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Can you talk about the skinny influencer who was attacked for saying she does not eat much? People hate it when a skinny person says that they don't eat much. I mean, I don't have much to say about it because you just said it all. People don't like it. Like, it's amazing to me how people will. It's amazing to me how people, like, it's perfectly fine to say something about somebody's looks if they're fit, athletic, skinny, stuff like that. But if it's a fat person, we got to protect them. Fuck that. I mean, people make fun of my appearance all the time, and I laugh at most of the jokes. Honestly, I laugh at most of them. I think they're funny. We should all be that way. So it's like, but they hate skinny people. Like a lot of people hate skinny people because they wish they could be skinny. That's why. Let's see. Can't shame only come from within? That's exactly. I completely agree, Cloak. Completely. Am I carnivore? No, but I eat mostly meat and protein, but I do eat veggies. Like today, I'm having hibachi, so I'm having rice and stuff like that. So I'm very whole foods. I eat almost no ultra processed foods, like none, like almost none. But I eat probably 75% of what I eat is meat. But I do eat other stuff. 75% of my calories, I should say, is from meat. Hang on. Do you think we could get true body positivity back at this point? Nope, I don't. I really don't. I appreciate someone skinny, to be honest. Exactly. All right, folks. Hey, listen. I do got to run because I have another one coming up. Join me back in about 3 minutes. This one ought to be fun. We're going over TikTok crazies. Bye.
The Holy Trinity Bundle isn't just about weight loss. It's about empowering you to find your healthiest, happiest self. Let's talk about what's in the bundle and how it caters specifically to our needs. First, we got Ember, which is not just any fat burner. It's also going to boost your mood, your energy levels, while also suppressing your appetite. And if you're worried about it being too strong, you can split the tablet in half to tailor its impact. Next, we have Alchemy NCT, which turns the carbs that you eat into energy and not fat. Yes, energy, not fat. This is our way of making sure that the meals that you eat contribute positively to your weight loss journey. And girls, we all know that we want that. And finally, no morbidity. This one's my favorite because it works while you sleep. It burns fat and controls those nighttime cravings without any stimulants, so you wake up feeling refreshed. Try it out and feel the genuine difference. Here's to new beginnings and real results.